Hello guys and welcome to my channel, and today we are going to be servicing the quite uncommon and fairly rare A8 4.2 TDI. I've seen videos all online, but no one really shows you how to do it properly, only parts of it, so you're going to see a full service here today with... So this is about 11,000 miles overdue now, and the air filters are about 17,000 miles overdue, so it definitely needs doing. And the plan of attack first is we're going to do the pollen filter first, then the fuel filter. And the reason for that is because the car is sat low, so while it's sat here in cold, I'm going to do this and the fuel, get that re-pumped through, and I'm going to go for a short drive to warm the engine up a little bit, ready for the oil change. I'll then come back, obviously lift the car up, drop the oil, and then do the air filters last. So this should be your complete guide. So it's pretty self-explanatory. The seal comes off like so, look. And then this will allow you to pull up the trim cover, which splits into the trim panel. This has not been taken off since I've owned the car, mind, so I don't know what we're going to find. And these just pull off really easily, like so. I say easily. A little bit of mild wiggling. It looks like the lid on this one needs to come out before you do that. So there we are, now removed. These you can use a flathead or a Phillips head for. I use a flathead actually because it was a little bit better due to the larger guidelines on that little plastic nut, but they just twist off. Wow, I say they twist off. I think one's still, oh, fair enough. So that just comes off with the whole unit. So actually that filter is genuine Audi, to be fair, as well. It doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it looks like it's a genuine Audi part, to be fair. But yeah, it's not very dirty. It's got a little bit in there, but it ain't too bad. So the replacement you want to put and sit down in its place, and then you want to put this cover back on top. The only thing to point out on the cover is those two sort of pointy bits at the top. They slot back in underneath. There's a gap here, then it closes down like that. So it's quite an easy thing to do. Looking like that's got to go in there first, which makes more sense. And then you can push this back under. Ah, there we go. Simple. Get it lined up and then get these back in, and then get the tray back on. You'll feel these drop into place when they lock in, and you can just check by wobbling them to make sure they're not loose, but you'll feel them sort of as you twist they drop in. So it's quite a simple one. And then just put the trim back on. Just a little side note on these, when you come to do them, make sure you push the tabs back under the metal here, otherwise they'll sit in between the bonnet and the wing and make a noise. And this also won't seat properly, so these push in here and it holds it in place nicely. But the left panel goes on before the right, left on, and then the right will sit on top. Okay, the fuel filter. So it's the first time I've done one of these, and I must say one thing, as far as I'm aware, from standard these have hose clamps on the hoses. I might be wrong, but I'm sure they do from standard. I've seen videos they have the hose clamps, so luckily someone's taken them off and replaced them with Jubilee clips on the fuel lines here, which makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and relieve and loosen these two, and I plan to just remove this one here and then keep this one attached, and then I can remove this unit here that goes into the fuel filter. So once you've removed these three pipes, they are quite difficult, mind, I would suggest using delicately a pair of long nose pliers and a cloth to clamp on the hose to pull out. Once this three are removed, you can then take the clip off the top of this, pull it out, get a flathead underneath here, and you can then force this out with this hose still attached. And then what you want to do next is remove these three bolts, 1, 2, 3, T30s, and then the whole fuel housing unit can come out. So guys, on here on the side you can loosen this off with 5mm. This is the clamp that holds the fuel filter in place, so as you loosen this it will allow you the room to be able to get the fuel filter out. So there we are, guys, all fitted, and there are two approaches to doing this. The two approaches are that you can use the fuel from the old filter to put into this one by sort of emptying it and pouring it back in through the top and pumping it through here, but I haven't got a pump tool for that. And I'm also not so keen about pumping potentially dirty fuel from the filter and what's inside the filter into the new one. So we're going to have to go with the manual, well, not the manual, but the only other way to pump the fuel system, which is to use the ignition at the end. So you'll see that in a little bit. Make sure you don't do the mistake that I just made, which is to tighten it all up and put it in. Make sure you leave the clamp loose and get the fuel filter positioned in the right position. I had mine wonky, so I went to put it on and I was like, that's not going to fit. So I had to take it back out, loosen it and adjust. So make sure you just leave that filter loose, get it twisted into the right orientation like it is now, then tighten it up and then put it all back together. So it's important while the filter's out to fit this unit back in. Now the reason for this is I didn't realise until I did it, is you cannot get the pin back in with this in the way, so you have to remove it out of the holder, put the pin through, then put this with this fixed back inside the holder. So I have to do it all over again, but it's a learning curve. So yeah, when the filter's out, fit this onto the filter before you put it back in the housing. Fit it one of two ways. You can have this going in underneath here and round into there, but I've put mine like this, so it's holding this in place like that, so it's ready for installation. So yeah, that's how it should look before you tighten this and put it on. So guys, we have lost a lot of fuel out of that filter. I would say probably 250 mil. So I'm going to go through on the ignition sort of 3 or 4 times, which is basically just coming in, letting the fuel pump its way through, and then I'm going to do that 3 or 4 times, just try and pump some fluid into that filter. But I know when I come to crank it, it's going to take a good 20 or 30 seconds apparently until it is full to start. So you want to get the ignition on, then off, on and off, every sort of minute or so for 5 minutes, and then do the rest by just cranking the engine. So make sure you put your car in a lift setting and then press setup, then into jacking mode and put jacking mode on, and this will secure the airbags for you to lift the front up to get underneath and do your oil change. So the car is all now warmed up and ready to go. So this is on 171,000, so I've run it and got it warm as it just helps the engine with the oil change process. It's just that little bit easier, a little less hard wearing on the engine when you start it. So you're going to release the oil cap like that, just release it. That can sometimes just allow a little bit more oil to drop through, sort of opens up the top, allows air to come through. And then the next thing we're going to do is take off the oil filter and replace that before we jack it up and get underneath and get the sump plug off. So we're 32 mil, we are going to get this off and get the filter out. Right then. There we are, so that's the lid off. So, and the oil filter, I was assuming it was meant to come out with that, but evidently not. Yes, the oil's very thin while it's warm, which helps with the process of removing the oil more efficiently. Now, there we are, and there we go. Now that's the important thing to look at, is on this filter, it has a little nipple on the bottom, which helps you to install it in the right orientation. As you probably can't see, there's quite a bit of metal in there. So this is an old engine, but it's obviously something I need to keep an eye on. It's the oil quality. Yeah, and yeah, it goes right deep down in there. So all is now drained out. So from where I'm looking here, the nipple was here. So down in what I would call probably the 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position. So you're going to orientate it whoosh, straight in there like that. What we're going to do now is clean this out, fit the new seal, and then we are going to fit the new oil footer in there once we've cleaned it out. So for some reason the sort of squarish shaped filter on this likes to twist itself, so you want to put a flathead underneath it and then run it around to make sure it all sets itself perfectly. Otherwise it twists and then you have gaps which could cause oil leakage. So the filter's back in, and I've used a little bit of the oil here on the seal. Let's get that ready to go back in. Set that over the top. These are a bit of a pain. You've got to find the point of orientation for these to line up. So you almost have to reverse it for a while until you can find the point in which it hooks. As you can see, it takes a while. I'm going to try and wind it in by hand until you can't anymore, just to make sure that you're not cross-threading anything, because that would be the worst thing to do, would be to cross-thread the plastic holder. There we are, turn it back up. So there we are guys, 10 litres of 5W30, low saps and a sump plug. I'll put a list in the description of what parts you need. But we're going to be filling up 9 litres, leaving it to rest, and then 9.5 is the total. So we're going to empty it out now, fit the new sump plug, and then we're going to put in 9 litres, park it up, and once we're done we will see how much extra we need to top up. So here we are guys, here is the sump plug. I was looking all the way back here for ages, mind-boggling myself trying to work out where it was, and it's literally here at the front. So in terms of sizing, let's have a look. That one looks about right. Yeah, that one is a W10 Allen key head, straight into there. And then this is going to be scary because it's going to literally just go whoosh, straight out, so I'm going to get covered, I think. Right, wish me luck. Here we are then, 9.5-ish litres of oil. I'm going to tighten it first to break the seal that's already going to come out. Oh my god, this is going to be a nightmare. Right, I'm going to get absolutely fucking covered. I'm just going to have to go for it. Yeah, it's already dripping, fuck. It's a lot of force, but there you go, let's see, it comes out nice and sweet and effectively, hopefully not draining my entire oil pan, yeah. So, it's as simple as that. And I've got a replacement sump plug to use. It's getting quite deep inside my pan there. If it doesn't overfill it. Otherwise I'm a bit fucked. Right, I'm just going to get up out of the way in that. Hopefully this won't overfill because it's looking quite close. Yeah, coming out the top now, look. Oh, so there we are guys. There we go. New sump plug on. Let's get her filled up. there we are, so the first 5 litres. There we are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refill this one here, 4 litres, and then pour it in. And I've got a litre left to refill afterwards. Air filter removal is the same on both sides. There are screw heads here, 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 here and here, down the side of the box to loosen all these off to get the top covers off. So out with the old, and these have done 17,000 miles. So let's get rid of the old standard filters. So now fitted are these AP Performance air filters, which look amazing. These can be re-cleaned, so I don't have to worry about having to continually replace these on services, so these can always now be cleaned. And they do come with a selection of adapters, which you can use if you need to, but I've managed to get 9mm ones, 90mm ones, which are 9cm, and they sit in there really well, to be fair. Now they do come with a clamp as well to clamp them down, which I'll probably try and install, but if I can get something to actually fit in there to tighten them is another story. But these should sound amazing. So there we are, some slight adaptations have been made. I have got this in and used a well, used this basically, a little ratchet with an extension and a screw. I've tightened the screw in like up underneath here, so this is now in and firm. And I've had to adapt the box by removing the inside holder, which sits in here, circular thing, for the normal standard filter, so it fits the slightly taller filter here. But because it's clamped onto the actual unit, it's not going to come off or wobble around, so this isn't needed. But it ends up like that, which is amazing. So let's hear how it sounds. So there we are, guys, there is the A8 completely finished. Air filters, fuel filter, pollen filter, oil and oil filter, all done. And I hope you enjoyed this DIY servicing video on my D3 4.2 TDI A8.